Hey everybody, welcome back to the Audio Cycling YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be taking a look at the classic squad game. This is the OG Velogames competition, which has a lot of kudos. If you win this, you get 12 rider squads, still 100 credits, 24 transfers across 12 races, and today I'm going to be taking you through who is kind of on my team at the moment, some of the rider prices, and some advice as to what I'm going to be doing to try and succeed in this competition across the race schedule. So, obviously, I think let's take a look at the rider prices first. You got Tadej and Mathieu as the most expensive riders. Pedersen, Laporte, Philipsen, Pidcock, Ganna, Hershey, Kung, Mohoric and stuff, right? The main thing you want to keep in mind is the transfers, because you get 24 transfers across 12 races, which, quick maths, means that you get 2 transfers per race. However, the problem comes in that the race schedule, you end up after Roubaix going through a big swap where you need to then go from a lot of the cobble-based riders to a lot of the Ardennes-based riders for the last few races, which makes, you need to do, because you get Amstel and Liège, which are both Category 1 races, so you really need to have enough transfers in reserve so that you can make pretty much a whole team overhaul. So it makes a lot of sense to try and save credits where you can, which is why it's best to try and pick riders now who are also going to be competing in the races next week, like E3, Gent-Wevelgem, Dwaalsdorf and Ronde van Vlaanderen and stuff like that. So you want to try and get those riders in early, which is why my team at the moment kind of looks a bit like this, with Pedersen, Laporte, Mohoric and Bettiol, who are all going to be taking part, I believe, in all of those 4 races. Now, the difference is that I've got Pogačar in here. Now, you might be saying, well, by that logic, why are you not picking Van der Poel? Well, the logic comes in that you got Bruges de Pin in here as the second race. So, in this second race, my plan is that I'm going to need to swap to sprinters anyway. So, therefore, I may as well take Tadej, because I'm going to need to swap. I'm going to be swapping him off anyway for sprinters, and then I'm going to be swapping those sprinters out again to bring in likely a lot of Visma bike riders. So, once I get to Bruges de Pin, I'll take Tadej off, I'll put on Philipsen, save 6 credits, and I might put those either onto Persland Hagenes or Bettiol or whoever it is to try and get some more sprinters in there. And then I will swap back to, I'll get Wout in at that point, and I'll get Tratnik and Jorgensen, and I've already got Laporte in there. So really trying to stack up on those Visma bike riders. But for the meantime, I'll have in riders like Mohoric and Pedersen and stuff, so that they can also kind of fill out the team up until that point. But in terms of just San Remo as it is, I've gone with kind of a lot of the big favourites. So I've got Pedersen, Laporte, Mohoric, Pogačar. I'd say those are kind of some bigger favourites. Bettiol's a bit of an outsider, but based upon his Milano-Torino form and the fact that he's doing the cobbled races as well next week, I think at 8 credits he's a little bit, he's better value. Obviously, I don't think Philipsen is worth it for Sanremo at 14. Pidcock and Ganna. The fact that Pidcock is only competing in this race and then is going to not be competing again until like Brabant-Sipel or La Flèche Wallonne means that he's not worth it. Ganna's not doing enough races either. Neither's Hershey. Kung, you could certainly make an argument for. However, he's not going to be competitive in San Remo. So therefore, I'm not picking him, because he'll be more of a pick which I might bring in next week for something like your E3s, your Dwaalsdorf Vlaanderen, stuff like that. Mohoric, I think, is good. And then, you get a lot of these sprinting types, your Damars, your Binnies, Kois, Christophs. Generally not the best picks, even if they are going to be doing good in Bruges de Pin, they're not going to be doing well here. Certainly bring them in for Bruges de Pin, maybe keep them on up until Gent-Wevelgem, because Gent-Wevelgem, they are still useful, these sprinter guys. They can serve their purpose so long as it is more of a sprinting style race rather than a Wout van Aert and Christophe Laporte go off into the distance and nobody sees him again. Binny, on the other hand, is a little bit intermediate, where of course he's won Gent-Wevelgem and maybe he could do something in the Cobble Classics. You got Velens in here as well, which I think is good, considering that Tadej isn't taking part in a lot of the cobbled races. In fact, I'm not even sure he's taking part in any of them. We'll see him again at the Ardennes, but Savellans could be the leader for UAE, which I think is a really interesting prospect. And then you got a lot of guys like Milan, Narsen, Naylands, Nevadas. I think these are all good. I think Piffy's good too, considering how he was looking in the opening weekend. I think Schoins is really strong as well. Strong at Stadi. I think he could be a guy to bring in next week, but probably not just yet in San Remo. You really want to be maximising points in San Remo because it's a Category 1. And then you're going to take out maybe like either your Pogacar or your Van der Poel or whoever it is. Bring in and then use those excess credits to bring in like Philipsen plus maybe like 2 other sprinters for Bruges de Pan because it's a Category 2. And then you want to then revert those sprinters into probably Visma Lease bike riders because those are going to be very dominant teams. And maybe you want to bring Van der Poel back in. There are so many riders in the 6 and 4 credit rider brackets that honestly I haven't really had a chance to look through all of them. Meyerhofer I think is a sensible one. He's also the same price in the Super Classico, funnily enough. Vandenberg's quite good as a sprinter. Vermark is quite good too. But honestly, my biggest tip for you, which I don't see enough people doing, is for the love of God, please click this button here. The riders below are those currently scheduled to start the next race, San Remo. Click here to show the full rider list, which is why you might see that some of my riders at the bottom here don't have the hashtag Milano San Remo next to them because I've picked these riders in anticipation that they are going to be taking part in the cobbled races and I'm banking on them getting assist points. So I've looked at like Yuri Holman is doing E3 and Van der Poel's doing E3. I've seen that Gibbons, Dan Holer, Kirsch are all taking part in those other cobbled races, so I'm picking them. Perston Hagen is very similarly. Riesebeek, I'm kind of hedging my bets. I saw that he's doing Shell de Prez, which I presume Philipsen will do. If not Philipsen, it'll be Grove, so I think he's got a decent shot there. So you can take a look at all of the riders, even the ones which, a lot of these guys don't have that hashtag Milano San Remo next to them, and try and pick riders who are not going to be just getting you points in San Remo, but pick those riders who are going to be getting you assist points for the rest of the competition. I used this to great effect last year. I brought in like Starkenberger-Lagen, for example, and then he was at Ronde van Vlaanderen, and then he gets however many points for a Poggi assist, even though he wasn't in Milano San Remo at the start of the competition. So really utilise that. That is the biggest hack to winning this, is that you're not going to have enough to swap out all of these 4 credit riders. These are just going to be dud positions by the end of the rate, like the end of, I don't know, Amstel or something, because you don't have the credits to swap them all out. You need to just be focusing on the main guys. So you may as well try and predict who is going to be winning the races and then picking the riders who are going to get assist points, because you honestly, you might not get the highest Milano San Remo score, but long term you're going to be succeeding so much more. And I don't see enough people doing that. So hopefully you guys who watch this video will get a little bit of a leg up there. So that's my opinion for what I'm going to be doing for Bruges de Pan. In summary, I'm going to be going with this team pretty much for San Remo, and then I'm going to swap Poggi off for Philipsen at Bruges de Pan, and then bring in some other sprinters as well for Bruges de Pan, and then I'm going to swap back to Visma Lease bike riders for E3 through to the end of Ronde van Vlaanderen or maybe even Roubaix. I'll bring in another sprinter or 2 at Shell de Prez, because that way, by just keeping all of those riders the same, I'm going to save a few transfers for the big overhaul that will take place at the Brabant-Sipel and Amstel Gold Race. It's kind of interchange that we've got there. So let me know what you're thinking in the comment section down below. Obviously, I didn't take a big look at the rider prices, so if there are any bargains in there, be sure to drop them in the comments for us all to use. And all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Salut!